spent
and they were like almost two back-to-back. One was the Commonwealth Heads of Government.
Actually, there were three things back-to-back. It was Asian Games.
Right.
You had Non-Aligned Summit.
And then the Commonwealth Heads of Government.
Commonwealth Heads of Government. A lot of funny incidents, but I think we sailed through.
Right, absolutely. Because, I think Delhi has not seen that much, so those like back-to-back gatherings of heads of state ever after that, I mean, I don't remember, after that year, 82.
I think it's happened in small batches,
right.
but
3 back-to-back world events, sort of.
Yeah, it was big. It was really big, and I mean, it was great to see presidents and prime ministers sitting on staircases, sitting on the floor in the lobbies, sometimes, and having a meeting, That was the kind of camaraderie they had amongst themselves and their teams. And I was fortunate to meet some great world leaders, and, I think it'll always be great memories for me, meeting Fidel Castro or PLO,
Yasser
Arafat. Actually, Yasser Arafat was so kind that in his next visit, he brought a dress for my wife.
Okay.
These are not only learnings, great memories. So Ashok days were great. Barring few incidents, I think it was great. Right.
So you didn't have your share of union troubles and all with 60 unions on your...
Not really. It was part of the job. I mean, I have a couple of ex-colleagues here sitting in the audience. I saw Sanjeev. We have gone through it. I think we were paid for that.
Right. Also you got to, I think, meet Mrs. Gandhi, and she was one person, I think, who was very much hands-on about food and tourism, and she knew her food definitely. Did you get a chance to see that side of her?
Yes, I think it may be apt to relate something which today we may say that not many will talk about it. Mrs. Gandhi as Prime Minister was very hands-on in hospitality. She used to come and inspect rooms for heads of states herself, midnight, walk through corridors, check bed sheets. I mean, you cannot imagine a Prime Minister getting involved in little things, but India was small, and India was at a stage of taking off internationally in terms of hospitality, and she wanted to ensure that it's all right. I remember she was doing a dinner for Queen of England. She called us for finalizing the menu. So it was very close to the Christmas time. So I suggested, as any of my colleagues would suggest, ma'am, should we, since most of them are from outside, should we do a roast turkey? So she said, okay, it's a good idea, but we must showcase something Indian. He said, why can't we give a biryani? Why can't we give Hyderabadi biryani? I said, great idea. Chef Fernandez was also with me. Chef Fernandez used to be corporate chef for ITDC. So he says, ma'am, no problem. He says, no, hang on. I want you to serve roast turkey with Hyderabadi biryani.
Wow. Okay.
So, I was taken aback. I said, ma'am, the sauce of roast turkey will get into biryani and the biryani flavors will get onto roast turkey. She looked at me and then took my hand and started telling, chef, this is youth of India. They are not ready for change. She was the Prime Minister. So we tried to serve in a manner that...
Did it work? Did the combination work?
No, we served. We had no choice.
Okay.
We had no choice. But we served it in a manner, it was served in a different
like
bowl.
Like accompaniment to...
Yeah, no, it was served in a different bowl, which was, as a biryani was served in a bowl with some raita, separately. Everything went off fine. Obviously, everybody said it was nice and, So when she saw off everybody, she came back from the gate and told me, she used to call me Bhushan. He says, Bhushan, didn't I tell you this will work?
That kind of, bonhomie with the Prime Minister, I think it's not possible today. There's so many layers of security officials,
I think things have changed. I have seen the next era also. Things are getting tougher and tougher. And I think there are more important things to do for a Prime Minister.
There are too many pressing issues, I guess. And in those days, Mrs. Gandhi is legendary for the way she used to check out each official program, the menu.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How did the transition to Carlson happen? You brought the brand into India with Dr. Kapoor, Ramesh Kapoor. How did it all happen?
I want to be candid about it. I was at 34, 35 as head of the hotels. I was number 2. I was number 2 of the company. And my CEO, Mr. Ram Lakshman, who was ex-ITC, he quit. And I was taking care of things. And for that particular period, I did feel that if I become CEO, I have a shelf life of 3 to 4 years. What will I do after this? And private sector at that point won't take a CEO from ITDC at that time. I mean, this was mine. It may be different today, and different things with different people. But I felt that I didn't agree with some of the decisions which were being taken those days, particularly in terms of, I know most of you are much younger. You won't remember. We had a time in our industry when a particular government came and they announced that everybody who comes to a hotel in a dhoti will get 50% discount.
Oh, yeah.
And
I still remember the day the Ashok Hotel was taken over by
and
these famous politicians.
And every hotel has to start a Chopal restaurant for villagers. Now, I didn't issue, and I'm publicly saying this, I didn't issue these instructions. My minister told me that, why aren't you doing it? I said, I need instructions from you. He said, I've told you. I said, I need a document saying that we are waiving off 50% because I would be answerable tomorrow to the Public Accounts Committee. So I need. He didn't give. He didn't like me. I didn't like him. So I think that was the trigger point for me to explore possibilities. To answer your question, I had a job offer with the same company to come and work out of US and look after Asia Pacific. And you know how it's in India. You don't, rather you get used to something which you can't do in US. So I decided not to take the offer. But I must say, when all this was happening, my wife, who is also a hotelier, and who was with me in Pusa.
Oh, really? Okay.
Actually,
campus romance happened.
Actually, she was teaching in Pusa. I didn't fall in love with my teacher, but so so she told me, you know, you had this offer. Why don't you call? When people meet you, they're nice to you, they make offers. And if I didn't take it, I mean, why would he bother about me after 2 years. He says, no, I would recommend you give him a call. So I called a gentleman called Jürgen Bartels. Jürgen Bartels was CEO of Starwood. Somehow we hit off quite well when I had met him. So he says, KB, how much time do you have? I said, there's no hurry, but I have decided now that I want to move, but I don't want to move to US. That is, if there's something in Asia Pacific, I'll be happy to do it. So he said, okay. I called him in the night, our night, their morning, and he said, let me talk to you your morning, my evening. I said, okay. The guy called me in 20 minutes. He says, KB, you're on.
Okay.
I said, what? I mean, I just couldn't believe. He said, you're on, but let's figure out how we can do it because we have nothing in India. We want to set up our Asia Pacific office in Singapore. And he made one statement. He says, KB, I think you should look for something more than a job. I said, JV, you are my mentor, and you tell me. He says, why don't we look at something where you have something more than a job in the deal. But you will have to invest something, your time and some money. I said, I don't have that kind of money to set up an office in Singapore on my own. He said, well, you give it a thought, I'll also give it a thought and see how we can work out, but you're on, stop talking to anybody else. I called up a friend who was my boss, Rajan Jetli. Rajan Jetli was those days...
he was in Singapore.
Rajan Jetli was in Singapore. He was CEO of Britannia. And incidentally, he was the highest paid Indian at that time anywhere. So I told him, I said, Rajan, this is what is happening. So he says, why don't you take it up? I said, well, I can't. He says, I think I also want to quit Britannia. I said, we don't have that kind of money in this business. We can't do it. He says, no, why don't you take a flight and come to Singapore and we'll talk about it. So I went to Singapore and we spoke about it. He actually quit Britannia. We set up an office between Carlson, him, primarily him. I was a little bit there because I was doing my job primarily at that time. So we set up this office. We had nothing in Asia Pacific. Nothing, absolutely nothing, zero. In Asia Pacific, we started an office, and when I used to, we set up the office and started working, and when I used to go on development sales calls, I used to say, Radisson in India, people used to tell me Radhesham. I used to say Carlson, they used to say Carlton. That's where we started from. And
which year was this?
This was late 90s. And then I met Unitech, Dr. Kapoor. Suresh mentioned about Dr. Kapoor.
Dr. Ramesh Kapoor.
Dr. Ramesh Kapoor, who is the owner. We developed mutual trust. And I always felt, and I tell all my industry colleagues, that you have to actually put yourself in the shoes of your partner, the person who's writing the check. It's not about brand alone. It is about somebody who is writing checks every day. So if you keep yourself that in mind, you are safe. So Dr. Kapoor, me, Unitech ownership, and they had another partner, Mr. Batra of Batra Hospital. So we set up our first hotel in Mahipalpur. This was our first hotel. And I'm proud to say today we have 140 hotels in India.
Wow, and what is the Asia Pacific footprint? What is the Asia Pacific footprint of Carlson Rezider?
Well, we have 108 operational hotels in Asia Pacific.
Okay.
In India, we have 80 operational hotels in India.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So India is the like the hub.
Yes, India has become the key for Carlson. And we brought our restaurant company here, which Mr. Jetli ultimately took the franchise, TGI Fridays. We brought that, we brought country in. And I think one of our, Suresh asked me a little while back the reason. I think we had, we went through the route of strategic partnerships. We signed a JV with Mr. Shiv Jatia and Ranjan Bhattacharya. And I mean, they were doing Hyatts and other places, but we signed and we developed 28 hotels with them.
Right.
28, I mean.
The country Inn and Suites.
Country Inns and Suites. Then we signed with a company, Bestec. If I have 2 minutes, I want to tell them how,
as hoteliers, I think everyone would like to know more about it.
You know, we were approached by a developer that he wanted to do an Indian restaurant, kebab factory, which we had developed together with the ownership of Radisson Delhi. And this gentleman came to my office and he says, Mr. Kachru, we want your help. We want to set up kebab factory. I said, why do you want to set up? He says, whenever we go there, we don't get a table. Typical, you know, psyche, Indian. So I said, well, I think you should see the pros and cons of doing food and beverage business and, you know, whether it meets your bottom line. He says, no, we have a piece of land in Gurgaon and we want you to come and have a look. So I went to the plot. It was half an acre of plot. So I said, what do you want to do? He says, kebab factory, and we can have some offices on top, commercial, and we'll sell that. So I said, are you willing to dabble into hotel business? They said, we don't know. If you think it's all right, we can talk about it. So somehow, I convinced them to do a park plaza. So we did a park plaza with kebab factory on the ground floor. This partner of ours today has 1,000 rooms with us.
Wow.
Who came to set up kebab factory. He owns Radisson Indore, Radisson Nagpur. He owns Park Plaza Noida. He had Radisson Suites in Gurgaon, this Park Plaza, and we are doing a 250 rooms Radisson Red in Chandigarh, Mohali. So I think what is important, Suresh, is if you work together with your partners and don't behave that you are on this side or that side, you do what is right. I think there is a lot of scope in India and everybody will do well.
And in fact, you know, now that all these terms have become very fashionable, asset light and all that, but you know, you sort of did it much before others. And you know, you have like, when you're talking about 80 hotels, it means 80, almost 80 different partners, you know, each comes with his angularlities.
I have on an average 2 partners per hotel.
Wow, okay, right. So that's quite a crowd, you know, sort of, it's and you managed so well and you managed to look happy and young, you know, sort of. So what's the secret of this, you know, your perennial youthfulness and your, you know, despite having quite a portfolio that is continuing to grow, you know, so.
You know, I don't know if I can narrate it the right way. I just read the other day, you know, it's like driving on a highway. There would always be somebody ahead of you. But start enjoying the curves and the bends. And I think one of the reasons is we give to market what they want. Don't impose yourself. And I am lucky. I have a good family, and I have 2 sons, and who are friends.
Are they also hoteliers, or?
I wanted them not to actually get involved in the hotel business because they wanted to set up their own. My older child works in US, and he's in a totally different line. He is finance.
Okay.
And the younger one is, Samir does startups.
Okay. Fantastic. Informative to talk to you. There's so much one can learn. I'm sure you must write a book, your memoirs someday, because I think hoteliers have so much to share with the world, and we never get to listen to your stories, the back end stories of your life. I wish you many more years of contributions to the industry, and thank you so much for gracing our occasion.